1 million subscriber giveaway day, whatever we're on. Jim Green's day today. So they're giving away 10 pairs of custom boots. So they have this really cool boot builder on their website where you can go through and choose every single piece, every panel, the whole like outsole. And I recommend doing the Troopers because it's our pattern. But it's cool because they're giving away 10 custom pairs. You just go on there, build exactly what you want. So shout out to Jim Green, the 3 ways to enter: the regular form, bottom of the form for the second chance giveaway, and the Instagram daily repost. Shout out to Jim Green. Engineer boot battle showdown. Plus, a very heavy not boot box that I think you guys will find pretty interesting. Because I like kind of pairing some of the other stuff with the boots because it's allowing us to get more into the knife industry, the clothing industry, all sorts of different industries. So it keeps the videos fun and interesting for me and for you guys. So I appreciate you guys watching these when we unbox more than just boots and shoes. Because right now it looks like we got 2 Thursday boxes and a Bravus Studio box, which none of these are those brands. I just grabbed boxes to put these in. These were the April Fool's joke video with the Mjolnir armor boots from Halo. I just stole it. So let's start doing some unboxings of some engineer boots. If you don't know what engineer boots are, they're basically like cowboy boots but with straps. And I'm not the biggest engineer boot fan. I was raised more like in Western wear and like kickers, and so the straps are not my favorite. You know, they kind of make me feel like a little bit of a heritage pirate. And like they look good on some people. I just don't. You know, engineer boots have never been my thing. I'm sure I'll get around to liking them at some point or finding a way to like them. But you know, these 3 different pairs have been kind of floating around, and they represent different price points. So I was like, okay, this would be like an interesting way to show you guys and for me to see like what's the price difference actually get you, what's some general information of like who's making some stuff, and just kind of talk about engineer boots generally, because people love them. Like just because they're not my favorite boot doesn't mean that other people don't love them. They're very popular, especially in like the heritage world. Well, let's see how they actually classify an engineer boot on Google. Engineer boots are a type of American-style traditional leather work boot characterized by their tall, laceless construction, buckles, and rugged design. Originally developed for firemen or on steam locomotives and later adopted by motorcyclists and various subcultures. Like the really big one is not the Bad Boys, the Rough Bunch, I can't remember what the movie's called. Easy Rider. Had Marlon Brando in it, if it's the right one I'm thinking of. Whichever one had Marlon Brando. No, Easy Rider's the one with the big choppers, the big American choppers. The Wild one. So in the Wild one, it was a huge pop culture thing, and especially later in, like, I think if I remember correctly, it wasn't that popular when it first came out, but it really started growing in popularity and really started to build that like motorcycle club like idea. You know, like a lot of the Hells Angels, a lot of the other people pull inspiration from this era of motorcycles because, you know, I think that's where the 1%er idea came from, maybe. 1%er is like essentially like, we ride our choppers every day. We're the 1% that actually rides our bikes, not like you bunch of dads that have your Harleys stowed away in your garage. You pull it out twice a summer. 99% of people are that way. The 1%ers are us. We live on our bikes. We ride by. We live and die on our bikes. You know, it's like, I'm not even talking trash. Like I get it. You know, but I think that's a lot of. I think this movie shaped a lot of like motorcycle culture, like the raw denim, the cuffed jeans, the engineer boots, and same with Easy Rider. You know, Easy Rider was the more chopper version. When choppers were really popular in the 70s, it really started to establish like the big raked out front ends, like the crazy paint jobs, the really minimalist helmets. Both of these are very pivotal movies in the motorcycle world. And they even just made The Motorcyclist. Have you guys seen that? The Motorcyclist, I think is what it's called. The Bike Riders? The Bike Riders. It's got, what's his name? The current heartthrob that's in Dune. Austin Butler. It's good. You know, it kind of takes place in that era of like the transition between like motorcycle clubs being like really warm and friendly and a bunch of like the guys getting together, and kind of shows the progression into more extreme ends of the motorcycle culture that were especially prevalent in the 70s with the Hells Angels, you know, the whole Woodstock stuff. You know, there's a quite the history behind motorcycles that we don't get to talk about much. So like, it's honestly as big of a passion for me as leather, because the whole first like 3 to 5 years of the business was subsidized by me rebuilding motorcycles, by flipping motorcycles, fixing cars and flipping them. Like a lot of like Rose Anvil is built on the foundation of motorcycles and mechanicking. And we just don't get to talk about it much, and I love it. And my blue crush bike's almost done, actually. I've been saying that for like a year, but I'm gonna actually be able to ride it today, because right now I'm a 99%er for sure. You know, so maybe one day we'll figure out how to talk about motorcycles in a little easier light, or more entertaining light that people actually care about. But either way, that's 3 really good motorcycle movies. Go and educate yourself on motorcycle culture, start getting into it. It's really fun. Let's do it. What knife? I don't really need a knife, but I'll show you one. Just drop it on the other end of the table here. This is part of the baby knife series. And this is one I really liked. You know, it's a little bit bigger than I wanted, because I'm trying to find a better replacement for my Gerber baby knife. See, it's quite a bit taller, 1.5 inches or so taller. Packed down, it's still quite a bit bigger. But I like this one. You know, it's the way that the blade comes out, it's really slick. It's titanium. They're pretty cheap too. That's why I like these knives. It's not the easiest to flick out. You know, it doesn't have the best like action, especially for someone that's not like playing with knives all day like me. So, pretty cool one. Is it the winner of the series? Probably not. But you never know. What are these? So these are a pair of Chippewa engineer boots. And these are very reminiscent of Chippewas, because I think these were like dead stock, new old stock, and Brody's dad actually picked them up for us. And we just kind of been sitting on them for a while, but you can see it's got the Chippewa's classic bad choice in leather. You know, as you see how like loose all this grain is. You know, it's just not the best selections of leather. But it does have a Vibram outsole. Let's see how much these are. See if we can find one online right now. Oh, Boot Barn still sells a similar one, looks like. Engineer steel toe? Are these steel toes? Yeah, they are. Okay, so I found the boot actually. So these are Chippewa engineer boots, steel toe. They retail for $265. The Chippewa engineer boots. Step into the legacy of toughness with Chippewa engineer boots, steel toe. These boots are designed for those who demand durability and protection without sacrificing style. Premium leather construction, steel toe, oil-resistant sole, Goodyear welt construction, adjustable ankle strap, engineer style, timeless engineer boots combines functionality, traditional Western aesthetic, kinda, making them versatile for both work and casual. And like I mentioned, in the 1930s, this style of boot was originally designed for firemen working on locomotives. Gained a lot of popularity post-World War II. They became a symbol of teenage rebellion in the 1950s. A common component of greaser wear. So similar to that, like motorcycle wear, right? Like the slick back, white tee. You know, I think of the Outlaws. What is it called? With Pony Boy. Stay gold, Pony Boy. The Outsiders. So pretty cool. Standard and Strange has a write-up about it. So does Heddles, working in the railroad industry. Confirmed there. And Chippewa's been making engineer boots for a long, long time. Oh, history of engineer boots with John Lofgren. So yeah, I'll link this below so you guys can go read this. It's got a lot more information that we'll probably cover when we cut one of these in half. So there's your average boot price. You know, this is where you start to get into your, you know, obviously Chippewa, the Red Wings, your like first tier of true heritage boots. A lot of times you don't get a true veg tan insole. You don't, you know, this looks like it has a leather welt and maybe a leather midsole. Could be leather board, and then rubber slip sole, Vibram outsole, Vibram top lift, composite heel. You know, so it's on that lower end of heritage boots where it's built like a heritage boot, it looks like a heritage boot, but it's not made out of true heritage boot materials. So there's your like 250 to 350 kind of range is what to expect there. I guarantee you forgot to get your mother something for Mother's Day. We got you, because 25% off the entire site from the 9th to the 11th. We got a nice little downloadable, show your love, appreciation, respect. Also give your mom your excuse on why you didn't get her a gift. And the whole site's 25% off. We got everything from our hand sewn wallets that we've literally hand sewn. You can see all the pieces here, to our belts, to our camera gear, all handmade by us right here in the shop. And it's 25% off, and you get a little show of appreciation letter where all you have to do is fill out your name and your little excuse why you didn't get her a gift, why you still love her, give it a little signature, and that's it. So 25% off, happy Mother's Day, love your mother. What about this one? Not Thursdays either, actually. We should have a ton of these boxes from all that undeniable boot that we made with Thursday, the Heritage Captain. So we've got a lot of boots floating around. So what are these? These are a thrifted pair. Because thrifting is underrated to some degree, but also overly popular. Like, especially for the ladies. You know, the men's stuff is less picked over, but there's also less men's stuff at thrift stores. But I saw these and I was like, dang, those look like good, like roper boots, or not roper boots, engineer boots. I like the little square toe. You know, there's a little bit of wear there. It looks like it's truly Goodyear welted. You can tell that welt's a synthetic welt. There's a half midsole look through there that's like a synthetic. The outsole's like, it's rubber, but it's a hard rubber. Same with the top lift and the synthetic heel as well, just like the Chippewas. So similar from the welt down, the Chippewa just has a leather welt. Similar qualities of leather. Honestly, like this leather's probably better. What is the brand of this though? These actually fit me too. Dingo. And these, I guess, are not technically engineer boots because they don't have the straps, but they're close enough for the video. And like these are, you know, these are used in a similar way where they're like used like riding boots and you know, same way people wear engineers, they wear these, and so they're close enough. There's probably an official name for them, but I'm not looking it up right now. We'll look up what the brand is, see if we can figure out how much they are. Oh, Boot Barn carries these too. What the heck? Harness boots, that's what they're called. Harness motorcycle boots. So it fits the theme. Okay, so these are your more affordable. These are like 150 bucks. Like this is where any less than 150 bucks, I wouldn't buy a boot. You know, anything under 100 bucks, I would always stay away. So this is like your bottom tier. So this is kind of like your mid tier. This is your bottom tier. And like you get similar qualities of leather, but you get a lot more synthetics. It's gonna have like less materials more than likely through the midsole that are higher quality. It's, but honestly, the leather's not bad. But the important point that I was trying to get at was like buying a brand new pair of Chippewa engineers, kind of lower to mid tier for $265, or you just go to your local thrift store like Savers. I got these for 40 bucks, and they're like basically brand new. You can see like someone wore through these a little bit. There's some stitching that's coming out through here, but it just makes them look more rugged anyway. What's wrong with that? So that's another option, is like buying used. So these kind of represent low end, also used, mid tier, lower part of mid tier. And then, it's funny, Boot Barn carries both of these. Now, let's do this one. Smaller box. Kato by Hiroshi Kato? What's that? Okay, let's see what Kato sent us. Clearly a Japanese name. More motorcycle stuff. This actually ended up being very good for motorcycle kind of content. Let's see what we got. Thanks for your order. Little QR code. Personalized letter. Oh, it is actually personalized letter. Hi, Jaron and Weston. Nice to meet you both. Our designer, Nick, loves your channel. He's a vintage boot collector, so he's always looking forward to your content and great picks. And great picks. We hope you like the denim. Let us know how they fit and feel to share your feedback. Enjoy, Michelle and team. I love these fade logs. There's a bunch of brands that do these. Basically, you just like mark this every time you wash them, every time you wear them, or like months or wears. It's just like keep it in your back pocket, kind of track your patina. I've thought about doing something similar for boots, But I don't know, I just haven't thought of like a really cool way of doing it that is more practical and adds a new element to it. Let's see what we got here. 10.5 ounce 4-way stretch. So this is their new line, I believe, because they sent us over like the brief that had all the, ooh, look how stretchy those are. Because I like raw denim, I like the heritage like pant world, but they're so freaking hard to wear sometimes. They're not that comfortable, and they shrink really easily. The sizing's a nightmare. And so like, to me, these seem like it's a kind of a hybrid of modern pants with still being like old school Japanese kind of salvagey stuff. Oh, they're made in the USA actually. So maybe it's Japanese denim. Yeah, Japan fabric. It's from everywhere. Made in USA, Japan fabric. The Hammer Straight 32. So these are for me. Yeah, I like these because, you know, like the straight fit. I was thinking, honestly, these would probably fit well with these engineer and like kind of like Western roper style boots. So that's why I got these. I wanted a straight fit that's a little bit slimmer, a little on the slimmer side. They say our 4-way stretch selvage has a fit, quality, and comfort that will earn approval even in the most seasoned denim heads. Woven on vintage shuttle looms and Japanese mill, this denim has a perfect amount of 360 movement. Okay, so it stretches more than one way. Nice. Nick Noguchi, the designer at Kato, has dedicated his decades of experience with salvage denim and an extensive collection of vintage jeans. He has put his knowledge and expertise into creating salvage denim with all character and durability of vintage denim, but with a new level of comfort. Nick has had a vision of 360 stretch salvage, a denim that not only stretches horizontally like traditional denim, but also vertically. At the mill, at first, our mill in Japan, it was technically impossible, but Nick was determined. After many failed attempts and years of development, we were able to produce this amazing 4-way stretch salvage. That's cool. I love it. Like anytime anyone's doing something new and different like that, I just can't help but love it. So like actually very comfortable, like flexible, comfy raw denim. Well, is this raw denim though? Is it technically called, can you call it raw denim if it's not like, it's got the salvage edge, right? Denim bros. I'm still learning. It's gonna take me a while to get all this down. There's definitely more horizontal stretch than vertical, but there's still a lot of vertical stretch. So I think that's the salvage, so it's gotta be like salvage denim at least. Raw, as far as I remember and know, is like, there's like a technical term for it that's like unwashed, on this, on that, and people use it kind of colloquially for something that's not. They kind of call all this kind of stuff raw denim. So I think this is just salvage. I'm sorry, denim bros, I'm sorry, I'm learning. Got a nice tote bag, very nice. 14 ounce 4-way stretch denim, the barrel fit. So this is your more traditional looking denim, and it looks like real denim, and it has that 4-way stretch. A little bit thicker at 14 ounces rather than the 10 ounces. And you can feel it, like these feel like, these are gonna be comfortable with day one. These are like very, you can tell these are comfy. These are gonna take some break in and some wear first. And this is also their barrel fit, so it's a lot straighter leg, which, you know, that's not part of the reason why I wanted to do these boots in this video, but now it is, because it's perfect. And these guys are clearly more motorcycle centric. They have a literal motorcycle helmet in their logo. So before we try these on and see what they look like with boots, what is in this giant box? Only one of the most expensive boots that we've never cut apart. One of the top brands that, you know, we really had to start, we had to establish essentially from the bottom up quality of footwear, because if you just start with the top tier, you don't have any context of why it's top tier. And so that's why, like, we haven't really hit the Vibergs yet. We haven't hit like these really, really top shelf brands, because we've been finishing up, like really setting the scene for like why they're different, how they're different, especially comparing to the Pacific Northwest brands. Because they're similar vibes, but like PW brands are like work oriented. These top shelf brands are more casual oriented, but with like as high quality of everything as you can imagine. So what are these? Not Bravest Studios, but I kind of feel bad because we didn't plug Bravest Studios in that April Fool's video. I'm sure people would figure it out though. It's in the description. John Lofgren's. If you don't know who John Lofgren is, arguably one of the top boot makers in the entire world in terms of quality and finishing and material choices. You can see how dusty it is. It's been sitting around. You know, a lot of people put John Lofgren above Viberg, and Viberg, a lot of people It's like, okay, Viberg's like the actual premium version of the Pacific Northwest brands. And then John Lofgren is like ultra premium. Like they're all made in Japan. And the Stitch Down podcast has an awesome podcast that John was on that kind of talks about the story of John Lofgren and how he got this obsession and love for Japanese culture and Japanese like crafting excellence and their love of this concept of Kaizen, of like continual improvement, day after day, getting better and better at the things that matter most to you, whether it's your job, whether it's your hobby, whether it's your craft, whether it's your product. Like, I love Japan. Like, I was raised on anime. I love everything about Japan. I love, I'm kind of a Japan nerd. And so John Lofgren being like one of the most popular Japanese boot makers, at least in America, that makes some truly kind of old school Japanese style constructions and like, it's just cool. They make everything's so cool that they make. I'll show you actually, because honestly, they've been a big inspiration for me for a lot of the collaborations and stuff, because they pull a lot of inspiration from heritage military boots, and they even have like recreations of military boots. Maybe we're working on one. I don't know, but they're not cheap. Like, I don't know exactly how much these are, but they're not cheap, because if you look at just if we go view all, they actually have categories. Let's actually do that. Let's do the military boots first. So they got their M43 service boot. Actually, we got one sitting right there. I'm about to unbox for an upcoming video, $900. You've got let's see if there's another military boot here that you might know and recognize. Even these combat boots, $980. But the difference in price a lot of times with these really top shelf brands is the finishing, because it's like the Pacific Northwest brands are like work boots. They don't care that much about finishing. But these guys, they're all about like the finishing, the fine details, the perfecting of the patterns, all that stuff. So if I go to engineer boots, how much are these? Wabash engineer boots, Badalassi Carlo leather cognac. Is that what this? I was thinking these were like horsehide. I feel like these might be horsehide. Does it smell like horsehide? No, I think it's regular cowhide. So how much are these? $1,375. And so this is interesting timing, because we've been doing a lot of the luxury brands, like the high-end designer brands, that they charge this price, but the materials and like how it's built is like a fifth of the price it should be. And so some boots and shoes, we haven't cut them, but some of these brands do actually represent the quality that they're asking. Some of those details, obviously, compared to these other boots, full leather heel stack, leather midsole, another leather midsole, a leather welt. It's a nice little storm welt. I like the little lip on there. Look at the difference in leather. Look at all this. Look at all that. Okay, look at the finishing differences. Stitch lines, precision of stitch density, precision of finishing. Even just look at the edge here, like the edge dressing, the edge wear. Like, this is all rough and gnarly, and the stitches are all almost coming off right here. These are like dang near perfect. Dang near. And I believe these were worn a little bit too. Because John just sent these over one day, and I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can wear those. Those are so nice. But yeah, so that's where you start to see the difference. But it's not like even with this $40 boot, at this boot being 20, 30 times the price. Is that right? 40 times 10 is 400 times 3 is 30. So yeah, 30 times the amount of cost for this boot versus a thrifted boot that has some flaws, it's been worn, some stitching's coming loose. These will be more durable, but is it 30 times more durable than a boot a 30th of its price? No. But you do get those more finishing techniques, you get the higher quality materials, you get the true style of construction, you get the the John Lofgren name. And so it's like, this is an example to me, we haven't cut it, but of something that looks like it's actually worth that designer price because of those tiny little details that for every $50 you spend initially in any kind of product, it gets better. Then you get to that $500-$600 price point, it starts to taper off, and you get up to the upper echelon where it's like, you might get a little blip in some comfort, maybe a little blip in materials. But it's like all the finishing, it's the style, it's like all the stuff that designer brands were once known for before they completely sold out and sold their souls. That's what some of these high-end boot shoe brands are still doing today. They just don't have the well-known designer name, and I don't even think they necessarily want it. And I think that's why it stays how it is, at high quality. Pretty cool. I got hyped about this just in the course of making this video. So now let's try on some pantalones and see how they fit with the boots, and I'll show you why fit matters on this kind of boot. What am I wearing? These super wide toe box Boot Barn boots that I've been testing for the wide toe box series. So let's try the 10-ounce 4-way stretch, because these are the smaller, slimmer fit in terms of like the ankle area that you need a wider leg to pull off this kind of boot. Because if you don't have a wide leg, you can see the boots from the outside and it looks horrible. And that's part of why it's nice that engineer boots cinch down, because you can cinch that collar around the top a little bit tighter. Okay, first, actually these kind of fit like Wranglers. Yeah, I like that. Pretty skinny in the thigh, but your boy's pretty skinny in the thigh. A little light in the ass, some would say. Yeah, those look good. I'd wear these. Let's try the stretch. Oh, that's some good stretch. Yeah. They actually are very stretchy. You don't have any resistance when you're like squatting. They feel like pajamas. All right, Kato, you guys pulled that off. These are comfy. So now I'll show you what I meant. Oh, yup, those fit me like a freaking glove. Okay, so now you can see in the second camera down there, those will still work. You know, these are not the perfect pants for like a slip-on boot like this, but if I cinch this collar down a little bit, yeah, you can pull that off easy. It's not ideal, because see, like when you're stepping, you see the collar of the boot. You just don't want it tight. As soon as you see this going on, you screwed up. This is bad. This is okay, not great, bad. So now let's try these 14-ounce 4-way stretch, the barrel fit. God, I like these engineer boots though. They're starting to grow on me. So yeah, see? A little more relaxed fit. Really comfy just from the actual width of the pants. You see it's not nearly as tight in my thighs. And then stretch test. Yeah, that's crazy. These are so flexible. Like I don't feel any like bunching. Wow, that works. Now let's put the engineers on. I'm out of breath from trying all this stuff on. Is this horsehide? It might be horsehide. I'll have to ask John. John Lofgren. John's a cool dude too. He rides dirt bikes. He rides motorcycles. He's done a lot of cool things in his life. Just go listen to some of those interviews with him. He's a very, very cool dude. On Instagram, he's always beating around on motorcycles and dirt bikes. I'm like, yeah, bro. We'd get along just fine. Okay, moment of truth. How do they look? How do they feel? Yeah, see that? That's way better. That's how they should fit around boots. And you can still get Wranglers that are going to cinch down on your thighs. You know, like Wranglers for the most part are like built about like this rather than this. See how loose these are in the thigh? Wranglers kind of taper at the thigh and big at the foot, the opening. Yeah, see the difference? When you're stepping, you don't even hardly see the boot nearly as much. Let's try the classic cuff. Yeah, all right, I'm starting to get won over to engineer boots, especially when you have some nice denim to go with them. Pretty cool. So, if you want any of these, check them out below, because some of them are, I didn't think they still made these, or these, but they do. So if you want either of those, check them out below. Huge shout out to Cato for sending me 2 new pairs of denim that are actually comfortable instead of like taking a month to break in a pair of denim. And then they shrink the first time you breathe on them with warm breath. And so pretty cool. I like it when brands innovate like that and make unique stuff. And now you know some of the differences between cheap engineer boots all the way up to the most premium. And so if you want to see any of these cut in half, let me know, because that's how I base what we do, is at least to some degree is off what you guys want to see and what performs well on this channel. So I'm out of breath for trying it on. So yeah, check out Cato below, check out John Lofgren, check out everything else, and thank you guys for supporting this, because that's how we convince brands like John Lofgren to send us a $1,400 boot just to potentially be cut in half and criticized on our main channel. So thank you guys. See ya.